I've heard the speech before of nothing happens during intimacy, but I don't get it. What does that look like or sound like or feel like? Is it allowed to think lustful thoughts in order to climax? Lustful thoughts? What's a lustful thought? That I like what I'm doing? If that's your lustful thought, yeah. I think lustful thought meaning something forbidden? Oh, if that's what you have to do, then no, you got to start all over again. So if by lustful thought you mean thinking of something forbidden, some other guy, no. Never, never, never. Work something out, get something. This should not be necessary. Okay, I've heard the speech before about nothing happens during intimacy. No thing. During intimacy, you're not looking for something about your husband. Not even sexual pleasure. You just want him. And he is not a thing. So if, after being intimate, you're wondering whether it worked or it was good, or did you get enough of it, then obviously you're not being intimate. It's him, not it. And all these things you've read about the highest climax and the biggest pleasure and the ultimate, this is like eating salt and pepper without real food. You just want that intensity, then you don't need him. Then it's not about him anymore. The pleasure should be the pleasure of having him. And no matter what happens during the intimacy, you have him. But is he good at it? Good at it? What's it? There is no it when he's there. When he's there, it's just him. That's intimacy. And if you're not enjoying him, then how is it going to help to enjoy it? The more you enjoy it without him, the further you're getting from him. You're growing apart. And that's what happens in all the secular marriages. It's not working anymore, so we get divorced. You divorce each other because of it. This is horrible. At times I feel I need ideas on how to be turned on by talking and copying things from the outside world. How can I change this and channel it to be more holy and appropriate? Perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly what should be happening. How can I make it more holy? That's great. If you think about it, so much of Yiddishkeit and so much of our relationship with the Eibishter is a model for real intimacy. What does it mean? Ein lanu melech ella ota. Ein oid milvadei. Do you hear the intimacy here? Why is it so important that ein oid milvadei? You're my favorite God, and there are other gods, but I'm not interested. No. Ein oid milvadei. That when you really get close to the Eibishter, what happens? Everything disappears and there's nothing besides you. Come on, that's intimacy. Every time you do a mitzvah and you want to do it l'shem shamayim, you know what that means? That means with intimacy. This is not a new subject. This is not something coming out of nowhere. All of Yiddishkeit is a way to get closer to the Eibishter, not because of something, but because of Him. So practice it. Focus on it. Get better. What do I do during Nida when I feel so disconnected from my husband? Disconnected or lonely? Why would you feel disconnected? Because you can't touch and you can't be physical? If that disconnected feeling makes you look forward to mikveh, that's perfect. It's not really disconnected. It's wanting more, which is great. You should want more. I mean, imagine if your husband said, "Oh, we're not allowed? Okay, then forget about it. I'll talk to you next week." That's not good. That's not kosher. The husband wants to be a tzaddik, or he wants to be a beinoni. So if I'm not allowed to touch you, then for the next 2 weeks I forget about you. No, that's not a mitzvah. Forget about me. It's like the difference between Golus and the Beis Hamikdash. In the Beis Hamikdash, the Eibishter is there, so I'm interested. In Golus, the Eibishter is not there. Okay, I'll forget about him until he rebuilds another Beis Hamikdash, then we'll get back together. This is not. In Golus, you miss the closeness. Not you forget about it. And that's why you have to be so careful with all the harchokes, and you have to not sit at the same table, because you didn't forget. You're still very interested. So you have to be careful not to overstep the border. But forget, that's not nice. So hopefully this feeling of disconnectedness doesn't mean you've lost interest. It just feels incomplete. Because it is. It is incomplete. If you can't be intimate, it's incomplete. But that should make the intimacy even more meaningful.